Good evening, everybody. Today, because our days actually start at sundown, is day 34. We have just come out of Omer, where we were accessing a great amount of light, and now we're carrying it forward through the next 2 weeks to continue and culminate our counting with Shavuot. So today is day 34, Yesod of Hod, bonding in humility. Humility between people, when shared and received by both parties, we're giving it out, we're getting it back, this fosters strong bonds. When you can be fully pure and transparent with others, you propagate connection and an extreme sense of closeness. You open a window to your heart and a door to your soul, and you let them in. It takes a certain amount of faith and trust to be humble enough to promote bonding. If that isn't there, then it takes an incredible desire to overcome past wrongs through humble expressions of honest sharing, to undo the pain of the past, and then to create a new ground on which to stand, a new foundation for both parties to be able to go forward with trust, respect, and bonding, with humility lighting the way. You can then meet each other with humility of heart, ready to engage in honest interaction. Humility can lead to repair of relationships or an expanded understanding of another, a heightened awareness that can allow access to both the giver and the receiver to reach new plateaus of understanding and relationship. So is humility, think about it, is it wearing shabby or dull, plain clothing, lacking color or vibrance? Is it holding back? Is it not being gregarious or extroverted? Never being assertive, always deferring to others rather than taking a stand or even making a decision? Is it bearing the pain that someone else may have caused and not ever bringing it up? This is on the dark side of the question of humility. There are times when people may carry on with a superficial form of a manufactured type of humility, present in times of great crisis or pressure. The true reality of our humility is manifest by what comes out of our hearts and our mouths during our most stressful times. With the pandemic that we are experiencing, acts of both true and manufactured humility abound. Take the time to look for examples. So take a look at moments in your life or people that you know. Maybe they can serve as an example for what to do and what not to do. We can ask ourselves, how do I react when someone transgresses before me? When someone wrongs me, when someone hurts me, what is the situation and how do I present myself? This is the moment sometimes which truly defines us and really challenges whether we are actually humble or not, or whether our humility is consistent, does it endure, as we've discussed in past days. The Bible has all kinds of situations and examples. Psychiatrist couches are full for years with people grappling and trying to deal with this. If we can overcome and we can move past a time of hurt or transgression, we can heal ourselves and the relationship, even if the most important thing that we have to do is actually heal ourselves. Creating a space for bonding and humility to happen, and hearts that were once broken to actually put back together. We can then be made whole. In Proverbs, it says, a man's discretion makes him slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook a transgression. This is a glory that we should earnestly seek, to daily receive the grace to overlook all transgressions that come against us. A transgression could come from somebody in our life who blatantly sins against us with malicious intent. Or perhaps we see one of our brothers or sisters or a friend doing something wrong. How do we react? A transgression could be in the harsh, angry tone of voice that someone uses when they're speaking with us, the way they treat us, how they dictate to us. Pride, not the transgression, causes us to be irritated, angry, or cast down into a well of self-pity. Opportunities for us to live out the higher parts of ourselves happen multiple times every day if we're willing to take a look at it and take a breath, pause for a moment to then determine how we're going to react and if we can react with humility of heart. To be able to speak the truth in gentleness and love, and then to receive the glory that comes to us when we overlook a transgression, this is one of God's and life's greatest gifts. Words of truth that help set us free. We have opportunities just like this every day. They pop up in our homes, they pop up in our worship places, our faith, and our workplace. It's up to us what we do when the moments arrive. Do we recognize them for what they are as opportunities, or do we recoil in anger, fear, depression, distaste, or rise up to address the wrong, instead with humility in our hearts? Now this is a big if the other is willing and ready to do the same, an honest interaction of healing can transpire, then this bonding can occur. This can be Yesod and Hod, bonding in humility at its best. So ask yourself, just take a moment and ask yourself how your humility drives and works for you. Is it a positive thrust in your life, carrying you forward and creating moments of bonding, attachment, and connection that endure? Or negatively causing you to pull away from another person or a situation to avoid the pain, to help push it away? Life affords us opportunities to correct, to heal, to learn, and to grow. It's always going to happen. It's always going to show up. Sometimes our darkest moments are when we're faced with challenges or pain that seems unfathomable and insurmountable. We need to reach inside to examine these moments at this time, and most particularly on this day. We need to see if correction is possible, if humility will transform us toward a better way. Humility should not be self-isolating or cloaked in darkness. It should create new bonds of connection that can manifest glorious light. When we generate light, we can move mountains that seem impossible. We can accomplish feats that arrogance, stubbornness, or pride will totally disavow. It is said that we need humility because it is proven to be effective on the battlefield of life. Today we should ask if our humility is productive and conducive in helping us move forward in our lives. Does it promote healing in relationships with people who have hurt us? Does it cause isolation or bonding? Does our bonding reflect healthy attachments? If transgressions can hurt and bonding can heal with humility at its core, learning to develop healthy attachments can help us avoid the trap in the first place or move us toward a state of healing. So there was a blog by Holly Brown, and there's some good points that I've adapted. Strong emotional bonds with other people reflect good mental health. Our relationships reflect our internal landscape and vice versa. So evaluate your relationship. See if humility is being used in a positive, productive manner. Does it feed the relationship to help promote bonding and attachment? When we feel supported and can truly depend on each other, we're stronger both emotionally and mentally. Hard times, they can help because we're not alone. Therefore, we become more resilient when we can depend on one another. If we can humbly open up ourselves to those around us, people who are healthy, then we can strengthen the bonds that tie us. If someone then in a negative space has transgressed, and then humility cannot heal it, we may then have to walk away and find new relationships that support and nurture us. It will take humility to admit and accept the wrong and then move on. So as you look at your relationships, ask if you are both listened to and heard. Is there a positive exchange without ego, condescension, superiority, or maybe some punitive negativity? Can you address the relationship with humility and an honest ask for help and be able to count on the other's help without judgment? She goes on to state, actually, when we deal with adversity, we need people that we can lean on. Even if there are no solutions to be found, especially then, we need understanding and compassion. Is that how your closest relationships operate? Take a good look. If yes, then you can appreciate what you have and you can nurture it and expand upon it. What we feed stays strong and vital. If not, then you need to recognize it, and that actually becomes the very first step. You might have gotten so used to having unmet needs that you stopped registering it. Or you start to think that your expectations are maybe a little unreasonable and that no one gets to have that kind of connection with others, or that you might never, that you don't deserve it in some way. That kind of resignation can be a slippery slope into loneliness and depression. So think about what you give and what you get back in return, what you gain. Think of how you can start addressing any imbalances that you may have. Love is just the start of a secure attachment. The rest can grow. So when we go forth with humility in our hearts and support that flows from healthy attachments, this then enables more balanced relationships. And then correction can take place if all parties are humble and honest in their communication and earnest in their dedication to form a new bond. One that will nourish rather than destroy. And not everybody is up to this task. Not everybody wants to have this. I mean, maybe they want it, but they're not willing to do what's necessary to create it. So ask yourself, when looking at all your relationships, your attachments, your bonds, is it possible to create a core of strength that both parties can build something new from? A bond that will be forged with a humble heart-to-heart connection and correction. Martin Buber, in his Tales of the Hasidim and later masters, said that everyone must have two pockets, with a note in each pocket. One should read, "For my sake, the world was created." And the other should read, "I am but dust and ashes." If we are but dust and ashes, a great humility lies there. However, when we realize and accept the responsibility that comes with a world that is actually created for us, then the challenge is on us to move beyond all that afflicts us and to find a new way. Bonding with humility can create new pathways to work within for a more enlightened way of living and sharing on the outside. With so much time at home during this pandemic, threatening or nurturing our relationships, we need to be acutely aware and vigilant in our pursuit of humility in bonding. Then our interactions will be filled with light, the light of honesty and truth that will elevate everybody, and we will be worthy of this world that has been created for us. We reach the pinnacle of our week, and we will wrap up humility with Malchut tomorrow. See you then.